Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with Ancients. My name's Priscilla, my buddy Heather down below, and our guest today, Juno. Welcome, Juno. So glad to have you here. Juno from Junosphere, 3333. That's how you contact her. And her information is also in the description of the video. So welcome, everyone. We are actually going to talk about black tourmaline. And I'm going to turn it over to Juno because I don't know anything about black tourmaline except for that it's a protective stone. Who wants to show the cards they pulled for the show today?
Oh, I put mine back. Besides, mine didn't show up.
Oh, right. So, well, let's say hi to people. Hi, Chris MK. I'm going to take this down just for a minute while we say hi to folks. And I'm going to put Juno down below so she can be the guest spot. Not the desk spot, but the guest spot.
You guys look so lovely together. I love that. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Oh, it's always fun to have you. And you know so much about crystals. I'm really excited to learn more about tourmaline. I even have some here with me.
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll play show and tell. You know, that's the fun part. So
I know. I love show and tell. So hi, Chris MK and Teresa Levine. And Butterfly Kisses, I know she said she was going to have to watch later. And it seems so. Oh, G. Covington and Chris MK. Yep.
Yep. And Teresa.
This is our third show at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m.
Pacific.
Yeah.
If you want to get technical for Midwest.
Central time. Yeah. I don't know. I get all confused, and then we don't change time in Arizona, so it's always a thing. As soon as I get used to it, you guys change, and then I don't know where I am.
Strange. That should be a national thing. It shouldn't be state by state.
Well, and then in Arizona, it's not even the whole state. The Hopi Reservation or the Navajo Reservation, which is like a big chunk of the state, doesn't. And then the Hopi Reservation is in the middle of the Navajo Reservation, and they do. It's like you go in and out of time zones. It's crazy.
That's how I felt between when Heather and I went to Ireland. Are we in Northern Ireland or are we in Southern Ireland?
Yeah,
are we in Northern? We would be like this.
Yeah,
I never knew where we were.
We traveled, it was like this.
It literally was like that. Hey, T. Barb, nice to see you. Oh, for goodness. Hi, Diana. Oh, Tribal Dancers, I have to watch the replay. That's all right.
Hey, Diana.
Chores with your brother. Have fun.
Yes. Enjoy the camaraderie.
That's the nice thing about YouTube. You can always watch it later.
And I'll have it on my channel tomorrow. I'm going to post it tomorrow. I did it. It's set up to simulcast, but I hit private, so then we each have our little,
Exactly, and you can load it up.
Our energy together at the time we're doing the show, and then release it tomorrow. So, thank you so much. And I'm learning. This show and doing it this way is something I've been dreaming about for a long time. So, thank you Priscilla, for showing me how to do this. And I mean, I knew how to do the slides part, but you're showing me how to do the StreamYard part and make this slide presentation work. So I'm hoping that it enhances what we talk about and be able to see things.
It's hard to show crystals. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to show crystals, you know what I mean, depending on your camera and your lighting and everything. So I thought with pictures, it might be easier for everybody to kind of see what we're talking about. So
it's full of amazing information, so that's going to be fun. I think you can start whenever you want.
Are you ready? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
You betcha.
Okay, guys. So click on that. Now let's see. Add to stage, right? There we go. Is that good, Priscilla? Is that how we should be? Okay.
Absolutely. Looks good to me.
Okay. All right. So black tourmaline. It's also known as schorl, SCHORL.
I wondered how you said that.
Schorl. Yeah, and I have there'll be more information on that coming about what the origin of that name, but sometimes you'll see people, that's how they refer to it. And it's the most common form of tourmaline. You probably can't see it, but here's one small piece that I have. And it has that, it's not rounded, you know what I mean? It's got a very angular, I think they call it a trigonal shape. So it's kind of a unique crystal. And here's one that I have that's, it's a heart, made into a heart, but this is also black tourmaline, which I really like. kind of unusual. And then
what's it mixed with? It. What was the red in the? Is it just,
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, what that is.
Huh.
Some kind of matrix that it's with, or well, even like when I was looking up the photos for this, when you see it and like as it comes out of the ground, it's got that color with it. It's something, some matrix or something that forms along with it. That's a question I don't know the answer to off the top of my head, but we will move on. So thank you for. I love the questions. Don't stop asking. If I don't know, we'll find out.
You guys make sure to ask questions, and I will star them so we can talk about them during her presentation. Oh, look at all the pretty colors.
Yeah. So it's no other gemstone is complex as tourmaline is. And it comes in a wide variety of colors. And what is showing on this screen right here is only some of the colors. It goes from like a transparent to pale pink to peach to blue, green, brown, red, and black, all shades in between. And this is a necklace that I made. This is all different, a lot of the different colors. I don't have the blue in there, but I've got a lot of the greens and the pinks and that. I wear that almost all the time. I really love tourmaline. I think it's a very fascinating stone.
Are there different spiritual meanings to each of the different colors, or is
and I'm only going to deal with talking about pretty much just black tourmaline today. Some of the stuff is a general, but when I mention it, it's pretty much that's what the focus is specifically, like how to use it as a pendulum and things like that. We'll talk about. So, but thank you for your question. Okay, so. And there's something called watermelon tourmaline, and I have some pieces that are really tiny, and it wouldn't, they're like the size of my fingernail, so it would be too hard to show them. So I got these pictures, and the one on the right is a slice that's been carved, but the other one is just natural. So it's kind of and it can also be a light yellow in the center and still be called watermelon tourmaline. But as I understand it, it always has to have that green ring on the outside, so it looks like you think of real watermelon tourmaline. Because you'll see tourmaline, you'll see the pinks and greens together in different formations, but it's when it's that way with the green, like the rind on the outside, that's when, as I understand it, it's called watermelon tourmaline. So.
I love it. My sister had an antique ring with watermelon tourmaline, but it was a faceted, like an emerald cut.
Yeah.
But it went from green to pink. Well, it went to red. It was more than pink. It was more red, but it just faded into from green to pink, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I have a pair of earrings. I should have worn them today, and the drops, they're carved like this, pink and green. Yeah. But anyway, all the things you could do. You do what you can. So it's more interesting as a natural specimen because when it's cut, it's just another colored stone. Like you wouldn't know if that's black onyx or that could be jet. Yeah. That could be a lot of things in that ring. But you see how that unique formation is in the natural specimen. So the Europeans who first looked at tourmaline and decided to call it a talisman of creativity may have been close to the mark after all. It's a stone that dares to be different. So you see that by how it's formed. It's a very unique, if you see the formation of tourmaline like that, if you're at the gem show or somewhere, you pretty much know what that is on site by the way it's made.
You really, can you see it on my piece, how the roughness of the inside? I mean, it's almost, it's like striations. Where'd it go? Hello. It's like striations on. And then on the inside, it's really rough and weird.
Yeah, it's like all these, like it reminds me of when you're driving down the highway and you see those trucks that are carrying all the pipes, the black pipes, and they're all wrapped together. It's kind of like that kind of formation, That's what makes me think of. So it says that because it's a stone that dares to be different, those who find this idea inspiring might find that the tourmaline becomes a special favorite. So it's really good for artists and musicians and things like that. People who, free thinkers, and that's another way to look at black tourmaline. And that's a cue.
Everybody in this room.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a stone that pretty much most of us are familiar with, and it's not a really expensive stone. It used to be more expensive, and then as they find new mines, of course this was years ago, but that really changes the availability, so it makes it much more easy to acquire it. So the spiritual qualities of black tourmaline are it's protective, it's structuring, and grounding. So I think, again, you can see that by the formation of it, how it is structuring. You know, it's got a definite a structure to it that's very unique. We'll talk more about some of the other properties of it towards the end of the video. So
Diane G says it kind of looks like charcoal. I agree.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It does. Like a mix between charcoal and petrified wood or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Yeah. So its name derived from the Sinhalese word Toramali, meaning colored stone. And the people in Sri Lanka it's where they speak this language, Sinhalese. So that's where, excuse me, where the name tourmaline comes from.
Cool.
And back to the name shoral, which I was talking about at the beginning. That's what a lot of people call it. Now, one of the books I ran into, this is why it's good to just because you find a fact, sometimes you got to keep digging. At first, it said that shoral, that this was named that after a mineralogist. And then I looked deeper and I found out that it was actually used prior to the year 1400 AD after a village known today in Germany as, and forgive my pronunciation, I'll spell it Zschorlau. So it's kind of like Schorlau. And this is also in Saxony, Germany now. So that's why I've highlighted the Saxony, Germany. That's a part of Germany where this mine was. And it was the village that was ended up being named, they, you know, shortened it to Shoral, or that's how they ended up pronouncing it. It had a nearby tin mine, which is where a lot of the black tourmaline is found. So that might be a clue to why we see whatever that red is that's in there. I don't know if tin has any kind of a red connection or not, but, you know, another rabbit hole for me to go down. Thanks, Priscilla.
Happy to oblige.
Yeah.
And I'm not really good at geography, so I like putting up maps to see where things are rather than just having
Me too. The maps long several times since I last saw a map in high school.
Yeah. Where's that? I'm pretty good with the U.S., but, you know, beyond there.
Well, believe it or not, I lived down the block from one of the major map companies for the schools. And they would give away, or, you know, extras to the schools, so that we got tons of maps. It's one of the regular map makers, but they would have maps that were in booklets like this. And I
Rand McNally. That's what I remember. Rand McNally used to have.
Yeah.
I have some great big book maps like that.
We just loved to go in there.
Yeah.
I got some cool reproduction map books that are real big. I just loved every now and get them out and look at them and see how they used to depict things when they would draw the sea monsters and all that fun stuff. I love that. Okay, so the next slide, it says Egyptian legend held that the stone absorbed the colors from a rainbow on its way through the depths of the earth to the surface. And I had never heard that before I did this research. So that's how you get so many different colors of tourmaline, according to the legend. And this is one of those pictures. This is the first time I'm learning to mess around with the AI function in my program. And so that's what they gave me was, the tourmaline with the rainbow in it was done in a different graphic, and I added it to this picture, but it's just kind of fun to play around and see what you can do with, you know, it's part of our life, people. What are we going to do, right?
Exactly.
Might as well embrace it. So,
hey, Valerie, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
No, Valerie. Hey. Oh, really? Leah says her father's a half hour away from Strasbourg. Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. And tourmaline has been known since antiquity in the Mediterranean area of the world. And we'll talk more about that with the Dutch in a little bit here. And then the stone of Ra was sacred to the Egyptian sun god Ra.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. All this fun stuff I didn't know till I started working on this. Now, Ra, he was in power during the New Kingdom period, which was 1550 to 1070 BCE, which is before the Common Era as they do it now. And he was first introduced during the Old Kingdom and continued to be the most important mythological creation for the next 2,000 years. So he was a really, long run, he had a lot of influence for a long time until Egypt switched to Christianity. So if you know much and you connect these things, you can see how a lot of the stories from Christianity were taken from Egyptian
Oh yeah.
stories and just adapted. I love that picture of Ra. I think that's so cool.
That's a great picture.
So the ancient Greeks used tourmaline to help kindle their lamps. Now, how they did this, I can't explain that, but I just thought it was interesting information. And ancient Greece was from 700 to 480 BCE. So you can see how that came after, the Egyptians were first. And sometimes I get that stuff mixed up in my head, even though I study a lot of this, but I like the reminder of when things were,
Mm-hmm. How did they use it?
I don't know. So they kindled their lamps with it. So I'm not sure, but.
Well, aren't tourmaline striated?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could soak it in oil and move it and just light the oil.
I wonder if you could. I wonder.
That's
because
a good
this
point.
piece has little bits and pieces that have broken off of it since I've been messing with it over here from the the end.
I can see where it could be used as a starter.
Yeah. So
Can't imagine it absorbing much,
but even between, if it's porous at all, maybe areas in between.
Maybe so. A couple of questions. First of all, Silver Star Priestess. She just grabbed her chunk of tourmaline when she's getting in the car. She's lurking and driving. Drive safely, please. And then Leah's asking if Ra would he like the sunstone. I don't know.
Well, I would think so. He's the sun god, definitely. That would have a lot to.
He's telling me that the sunstone was one of his main stones, even more than tourmaline.
Yeah, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
You said his name and he popped right in.
Well, he's done that before.
Yeah.
And then also, Leah does any stone have a flammable material? No.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that it's possible, but I don't know what they are. There's some that are like, similar, that they have asbestos properties, but there are things. I don't know. I think it's a possibility is what I'm trying to say, because otherwise they wouldn't always point out when something is non-flammable as a stone. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There that are some, like tourmaline has to do with heat and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit around it anyway. Let's see. So when we get to even though the tourmaline was known in the Mediterranean area, there's no long-standing mystical or magical traditions concerning tourmaline in Europe because they didn't know about it as long as they did in other places.
They're saying feldspar.
Yeah.
I'm ignorant. I don't know.
Well, and like what are flints made out of that spark of fire? I don't know, but they don't, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I don't want to speak off the top of my head because I honestly don't just know that answer. So something more to look up.
Either.
So it wasn't until the Dutch traders brought some stones from the East in 1703 that Europe started to know about tourmaline. And it was first recognized in 18th century Western literature. And it was declared the stone of the muses. So again, we're tying in where it's good for artists and musicians.
Yeah.
It helps to inspire and enrich the mind. And it was characterized as a lucky charm for artists, writers, and actors. And by Victorian times, it had become a popular gemstone. So, it's fairly hard.
Well, at least in black, I can't see as a gemstone, but I sure do like the colored ones as gemstones.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, they're my favorite. So
this actually has some white on it. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, my heart has that too. The black heart. It's got. And I was gonna show. Well, I'll do it later when we get. I have to show a comparison. I have an obsidian wand and a numite wand, just to kind of show when you're looking at. Okay, they're black, stones. You think all black stones kind of look the same, but they all kind of have their own personality. So.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true.
So this map shows where Sri Lanka is, and this is like the very tip of Indonesia. That's the orange colored part, and then Sri Lanka's right there, the yellow in the middle. of the magnifying glass. And it says the Dutch traders visited Ceylon, which is the name it was before it was called Sri Lanka. And they came across tourmaline and introduced it as a gemstone, like I said, in 18th century Europe. And then it was imported by the Dutch. And the rarity of this has recently been overturned by vast discoveries in South Africa, Brazil, and the USA.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, if you're looking for a good grounding stone that's fairly inexpensive, you know, get tourmaline. And remember, it doesn't have to be beautiful to be effective. A lot of times the stones that are, you know, not so, you know, haven't been faceted or messed with in one way or another. Yeah, just the natural stones. You know, a lot of times they're more powerful healers than the ones that we think we're so drawn to them because they're so beautiful and they're, you know, set in a real pretty. And that's another thing. It's strong enough of a stone to be able to be set in jewelry because a lot of stuff's too soft. So that's another thing they did with it. Now we're going to move on to, this is a meerschaum pipe. I don't know if you guys ever remember hearing about meerschaum pipes when we were younger. I don't know if that's such a common thing today, but this was the
kid when people smoke pipes.
Yeah.
People don't smoke pipes like they used to.
Exactly. Oh, all of that's kind of dying down, but there were such works of art, you know. And the Dutch colonists in Africa, one of the places where tourmaline is found, they use tourmaline crystals to draw ash out of the meerschaum pipes. And I'll be talking about that electrical property in a little bit here, but I didn't have a way to test that. I think that would be really interesting to play around with, how you can polarize the, you know.
Leah says they'll turn color with tar or resin. Yes, I've seen them turn color for sure. And you're not supposed to touch them for the oils in your hands. Yeah, because it's basically a clay, isn't it?
Meerschaum is a clay that does not burn, and that was also used as an incense burner. And I think that this clay pretty much comes from Turkey and, you know, maybe one other country, and like they have made it like they've restricted the market so you can only get meerschaum from these countries, as I understand it. Whether that's still true right at this moment, I don't know, but that's what I had read.
Interesting.
And then in the Dutch, they called it Aschentrekker, which means ash drawer, because it drew the ash out of the pipe. So the Dutch legend says that some kids found tourmaline pieces discarded by the lapidaries, and the lapidary is a place where they cut stones. So, you know, there would be pieces that fall, you know, here and there on the ground. So the kids would go by and pick those up, and they discovered that these pieces would attract ashes when the sun had warmed them. So just by coincidence, yesterday I was going through stuff and I ran across, you know, I'm starting to think about Halloween and what I'm going to do for Halloween. And I ran across this big bag of different kind of, I don't know if you call them sequins, but they're,
can you put it up? Can you show? Wait a minute.
Yeah, so there's a little, like it was just, I had this little glass bowl. These are skulls and, you know, whatever. And then some of these were, you know, little spider webs. You know, they're just like, they're real lightweight, like those sequins.
I have some of those too.
Well, as I'm sorting them out of the bags, I want all the skulls here, you know, got to be anal about everything. So when I'm doing it, these things have so much static electricity. They're climbing up outside the bowl. You know, it's like trying to herd cats. I couldn't get them to stay in the bowl. So I thought, well, I had just read this thing about what tourmaline does about the electrical properties. So I took my tourmaline heart and I just set it in the bowl. And within a couple hours, all of these were laying down. Like these were the whole sides of the bowl were totally covered with these, inside and out. And when I put I got them back in, so they're at the top, and the tourmaline just took all the static electricity right out of that, which I thought was, I don't know that another stone wouldn't do that. I haven't experimented that far, but I thought that'd be something we could all.
It's cool that you, okay, what did I do?
It's okay. We're good.
I'll find it in a minute. There we go.
There you go.
I was making myself dizzy.
So it makes me wonder, because this was a legend, like that must have been a pretty big deal to be able to get ash out of these meerschaum pipes, you know. And ash is a whole lot different than
I'm interested in the technique that they used to do
I know, and you know what? I tried to use AI to generate a little video that would show that, and it was the weirdest thing. I was even going to show it, but it was like 10 fingers on one hand. You know what I mean? It was like really weird. It was nothing like AI is not good at fingers. How many's on hand, whether they're upside down or, everything. But I just thought it would be an interesting thing to play with. A lot of people who have black tourmaline. Now, I did not heat this up or, put it in the sun or do anything to it. But apparently, if you heat it up, it increases the electrical property, the static electricity property of tourmaline, because that's what it is. It's not current, flowing current. It's static electricity. So sepiolite is the German word or is the English word for the name meerschaum, and sepiolite means sea foam. And the reason they call it sea foam is because it's so porous that you'd sometimes sing it floating out there and you'd think it was actually sea foam, but it was this material.
Hey, Judy.
Let's see. We'll go to the next slide. I just think meerschaum. I always was fascinated by that word, meerschaum pipe. It's just so exotic. And I think Sherlock Holmes used to use a meerschaum pipe. I think that was one of his.
I think it was a meerschaum pipe.
And
everybody
can. If you were a Disney or Shirley Temple fan, all the grandpa had one.
Yeah.
When she did Heidi.
Yes, when she did Heidi.
I remember. I loved her.
We're dating ourselves.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So I know everybody, I've misspelled positive.
I had ringlets, so I could really.
There you go. So I misspelled positive, so you don't have to point it out. I noticed it after I had already uploaded the video, and I just went, okay, I'm leaving it. But, life will go on, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
So tourmaline is pyroelectric, which means that when it's warmed, it develops a static charge. And that static charge draws the dust and other lightweight particles to the surface. So you can see how that played out with what I was talking about. Tourmaline has an electrical and a magnetic property that makes it a useful stone in technical applications. And I know that they use tourmaline in some hair dryers and those hair straighteners. Really? A lot of times the higher end ones will have tourmaline. It has a lot of uses that way.
I'll be darned.
So let's see. Am I still on that? I just want to make sure I'm on the right slide. Okay. So if tourmaline is electrically charged and then allowed to cool down, it will have a positive charge at one end and a negative charge at the other end. So this makes it a useful switching device in many types of machinery. So, we just think of these crystals that they're so pretty and that's all they use them for is to bring them up out of the earth for us to go, ooh, let me hold this one. But they really use a lot of them have an industrial use.
Yeah.
So this positive and negative orientation of them has made it the stone that's symbolic of harmony and balance between opposing energies. So anytime you're feeling I can't imagine any of us are feeling any kind of opposing energies in our lives these days. But it's another thing to focus on when you're doing meditation or things like that, or when you're just kind of feeling like you're so out of sorts with someone, you can't communicate with them, or, how to bring it back and back into balance. Get out your black tourmaline and see if that doesn't help.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. So this I just added in here to kind of explain, because a lot of times people talk about energy and crystals and they're, people can misunderstand what that means. So I thought I would make up some information, make some slides up to just demonstrate what I want to share. So current electricity versus static electricity. So current electricity is the flow of electrons in a current through a conductor. So I think that was pretty cool the way I just have these wires lit up here. It's a pretty basic way to show. So you can handle tourmaline. In other words, you can handle it without worrying about getting shocked, okay? Because it's not running this current kind of electricity. So even though it is pyroelectric, that means it becomes electrically charged when it's heated, and it's piezoelectric, which that's when you get the electric polarization, which in a substance, especially certain crystals, results from the application of mechanical stress. So that's a different way to bring in the electrical current. It is a non-conductor and will not transmit electrical current, but it has the we'll go to the next slide here. You'll see it does the static electricity that we all know. Rub your feet on the carpet and go touch somebody, or touch your dog's nose and watch them look at you like, "What'd you do that for, Mom?"
Come home and touch your doorknob.
Yeah. There's a lot of times, like even I've read where if cops pull you over, they will touch the back of your car to release their static electricity. There's a whole thing to that. Like, and also at the gas pumps, you think about that. There'll be a warning on when you get out of your car. Be aware of the static electricity that builds up.
Yeah, I can remember touching my car at the gas station.
Yeah.
For sure.
So static electricity is electrical charge that builds up on the surface of an object, and it discharges when it is given a path, but it does not continue to flow. So that's what we're dealing with. That's why I was able to round up my wayward sequence. That's a big deal around here, people. Having sequence got to be right in order around here. No wayward ones. I got enough wayward stuff going on here. Trying to keep everything organized. So black tourmaline is beneficial to plants, and it fosters empathy with the plant kingdom. So when you're meditating, or you want to pray for Mother Earth, or anything with anything along those lines, or you want to become more in tune with your own plants, or even place. I've even done it when I've had an excess number of pieces. I'll put them inside a plant, and on the dirt, and I've noticed that it really does seem to help. But all these things are, consult your medical practitioner.
Exactly. For entertainment purposes only.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got next. Okay. And so tourmaline aligns the human body to the Earth's energies.
Dude, that's really cool.
Isn't it cool? So the Earth's energy field varies from place to place. And tourmaline helps us adjust to these changes when we're traveling. So, tourmaline's a great one. Like the piece you have or I have, and you can get even smaller pieces. You can carry it in your pocket when you go somewhere if you're traveling. And if you're feeling like kind of out of sorts or whatever, another reason to tune into it. And one of the main features of black tourmaline is a stone of alignment. Again, I said specifically black tourmaline. Am I saying the other ones are different? I don't know. I haven't gotten into that far. Today I'm focusing on the black tourmaline, but
the colors do have different meanings.
Yeah. But I'm saying that doesn't mean that it doesn't. What I'm saying, it doesn't mean that the other colors wouldn't do that. But I'm focusing on the black tourmaline. So it helps the body to make physical readjustments. So anytime, like say you're going up and down elevation, that's a big common thing where I live.
That's very common where I live.
Yeah, exactly, in Colorado. So there's another reason to, have some with you. And it can also help, and here's the medical disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, and I'm just reporting what is metaphysically stated. If the bones and muscles are out of place due to injury or strain, you might want to add some black tourmaline in your meditation. And you know what? If you don't have any, find a picture of it. Hold it. You know what I mean? Like there's other ways to hold just the picture of it in your mind as you're meditating. Yeah. You can just call that in. So don't feel like you have to go out and spend a whole bunch of money to be able to work with this. I think that you get more benefit when you actually have the actual stone with you, but that doesn't mean that the other ways won't help. So it says it can also align the human body to the energies of planet Earth itself. And again, not even just when you're traveling, but say you're moving someplace new. That's another great thing. Like might want to make sure you have that handy as you're moving. Like even have it with you in the car or when you're traveling, however, to get to your new location, your new home. And then put it somewhere where you see it so that it keeps reminding you. Because that's a lot of the magic of these different stones or whatever things we're looking at. It's the meaning that we attach to them as well as the energy of those things, and it also will help reduce the effects of jet lag. Great one to take when you're flying then, have a little black tourmaline. Might not be comfy in the bra. It's a little lumpy to put there, but
Yeah, a little bit.
The last few times I've flown, I had crystals in my bra. And if you want to get patted down at the TSA, put crystals in your bra. I guarantee you'll get patted down. And then they're like, wow, that was cool afterwards. But not the me part, the stones part. Okay. When we get to the chakras, it does work with all the chakras, but it specifically, most strongly harmonizes the root chakra. So that's
Diane wants to know why in the bra. Because it's easy to carry in the bra.
Well, it's close to your heart. I felt like it was protection.
Yeah.
They were comforting to me. And now it's like, bra, what's that? If I do that now, they're on the floor. Because they fall right through. But anyway, I digress. So it also helps, along with the chakras, it also helps all the subtle bodies. And it clears, maintains, and stimulates each energy center of the body. And we have, when you talk about chakras, we focus on those main chakras, but there's a whole lot more chakras than just those. There's the energy locks in Jyutsu. There's the meridians, in acupuncture and other modalities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With all of them.
Yeah, there's tons of things.
Yeah.
I love it. Hang on a minute. Diane G says, why in the bra? Millie says, always crystals in the bra.
Yeah.
Says, it holds stuff. Illumination portal. Always in my bra. See?
Well, isn't that why they called them over-the-shoulder boulder holders? Wasn't that the whole reason?
Yeah.
Specifically for crystals.
Specifically. So tourmaline also rebalances the meridians. So this goes along with what we were talking about with the chakras. Now, if you want to really focus in, if you're really someone who's very aware of working with their meridians, it really helps to if you're going to do it like a layout, laying them on your body or applying them to your body, put them in the same direction the meridians are going. And when I say that, I mean, don't put it crossways, don't put it perpendicular, if you're going head to toe. And, most of the meridians are pretty vertical.
Right.
So just think about using it that way. So it also brings strength and stability of planet Earth into the human aura. So again, working with that subtle energy body. And if you're feeling, I think we all would like to have a little extra protection these days. Bring in that, and like I said, even if you're just calling it in during a meditation and you don't actually have the stone, or you think, oh, I have it and it's in the other room and you're already in meditation, just go with just tune it in.
Yeah.
I wanted to back up because you were saying to make sure that they're like perpendicular. Well, that makes sense if you're going to be positive on one side, negative on the other side of the tourmaline.
Right.
So that it's all going the right way.
Right.
And how do you know which is positive and which is negative?
And what I was talking more about was whether, if the meridians are going vertical, I would say most of the time put it
like that rather than like this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, and I know what Heather meant, but yeah, we wouldn't. That's an elevated level of understanding. But yeah, good point. Good point. Okay, are we ready for the next slide?
Yeah.
So energetically, tourmaline acts as a protective shield. It deflects rather than absorbs unbalanced energy. So a lot of people have this assumption that these dark stones and these protective stones, well, that just gathers that energy in. This does not. You can see that how it deflects it right off of there.
That's very cool.
The love train for a lot of different people.
I hear the love train.
Oh, yeah. Choo choo. So tourmaline cleanses, purifies, and transforms dense energy into a lighter vibration. It grounds spiritual energy, cleans and balances all the chakras, and forms a protective shield around the body. So, these days I would get out of bed, pour myself a cup of coffee, and grab my black tourmaline and start the day that way. Set your protective barrier up before you even deal with stuff, before you turn on the news, before you listen to your phone messages. Give yourself all it takes is a few minutes too. This doesn't have to be a long drawn out ritual kind of thing. You do this in a short time. So it repels rather than absorbs negative energy, makes it very valuable during crises and situations that are causing emotional duress. So, I think one for each side in the bra would be good. Like one for each pocket.
Things balanced.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I love this. Millie says, Diane, also black tourmaline in pillowcases to protect while sleeping, to protect from astral attacks. I love that one. Yeah. I actually have selenite and amethyst in my pillow.
Yep. Exactly. Good point, Millie. Thank you. Let's see. It's one of the best stones to use for protection from all sorts of negativity. And again, deflects rather than absorbs. I can't say that often enough. Like right now, we need to be observing and not absorbing what's going on. So this is another way to instill that with us. And it deflects not absorbs energy that is unbalancing. I like that getting away from just being negative, but anything that's going to unbalance you. And it creates a safe and neutral space. So another reason we could all use that. Another reason why it's helpful with grounding is it brings consciousness back into the physical body very rapidly. So if you do like a shamanic journey or something, an astral travel, and you need to, some help getting back into your body, this is a great thing to turn to. It is deeply grounding and can be used to restore normal awareness after healing or spiritual practice. So even after you've had a Reiki session or a Jyutsu session or anything like that. Really good. Sometimes you want to stay in that space, that la land, I don't want to.
I usually do want to stay there for a while.
Yeah, I milk it for every bit I can get, But say,
Don't make it come back.
You have to go and do something, that you got to use your brain after. This is a good way to pull the consciousness back. So as a pendulum, tourmaline is good for astral plane questions and emotional inquiries. So you guys know about how to use your pendulum. And I always ask my pendulum every time I use it, I greet it, and I always ask, show me yes and show me no. Even though I know what it usually does, I always ask. I feel like I'm calibrating
it when I do that.
Yeah.
And if I haven't used that particular stone, I stick it in my bra next to my heart to get my energy into it and just to give it some love. And then before I use it.
And I have noticed with different pendulums, yes and no are different.
Yeah.
You have to ask.
Yep. And it can change. That one same pendulum can change its, the way it wants to express itself.
Hi, Mr. Floyd. He says, I just wear bracelets, always there.
Yep. Yep. I got mine.
Wonder Woman bracelets.
Yeah. Okay. Now, to discharge black tourmaline, it's recommended to do it once a month and do it under running water. And, imagine that this is, and it's always preferable. If you have a natural stream or something close by that you can do this naturally, that's the optimal way. But, you can use your tap water. You could run bottled water if you're picky about what kind of water you want to use on your stove.
Yeah, my tap water, it smells like chlorine. I have to put it through my Berkey before I can drink it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to put chlorinated water on my precious crystals. I would be conscious. But if that's all you got, use what you got, is what I'm saying. The biggest thing I would advise with any
crystal, chlorine dissipate fairly quickly once it, like if you put it in a glass, doesn't it dissipate overnight?
Yeah.
And it's open to the air.
Yeah.
So you could actually get some water and let it sit out for a while first.
And the one thing I always tell people to avoid, though, is don't put your stones in salt water because it can get inside those micro cracks that you can't even see. And over time, it's going to turn your stone, an unpleasant.
There's a bunch of stones you're not supposed to put in the water at all.
Right, right. But even quartz and things like that, don't put them in salt. If you want to use salt, and that's a good thing with some stones to use to cleanse them, do a dry, just a bed of rock salt or something, or Himalayan, whatever it is, but dry salt, not liquids,
right.
Not when it's got water with it. So then to recharge it for the black tourmaline, you do that by placing it in sunlight for a few hours. Okay.
Mine sits on the windowsill, so it gets sun and then it gets shade.
And so then think about that as it's heating up, it's doing that electrical thing, it's just kind of fun to think about it in that way. The things that it's doing, just sitting there, heated up. Okay. And then pink tourmaline should not be charged in sunlight, but in an amethyst geode. And this is, that's a tourmaline there, but it's hard to tell. And I did that. That's on an actual photo. You know what I mean? I put the photo in there. It's not like the pink tourmaline, in other words, did not grow inside that amethyst geode. So I know a lot of stones
amethyst geode, but they're so expensive.
Yeah. But I think the big thing with this is like some stones will fade. Now, I'm not sure if this is one of them, if this is part of the reason. Like there's, a lot of stones you shouldn't put in direct sunlight for any length of time.
Yeah.
Amethyst, fluorite, there's a lot of them. So, and then, the last slide, tourmaline is an excellent channel to the higher forces and is often used in conjunction with praying to celestial beings or communicating with ETs.
Interesting.
So, who doesn't want a
nice stone with lots of wonderful qualities?
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot we can do with this stone that we kind of went, well, that's our grounding stone, I
always thought of it as protection.
Yeah.
That's why I put it on windowsills.
Yep. Good idea. And that's the last slide. There's beautiful tourmaline at the end.
Yep. It is.
And it also it represents rising energy. So that's another good point about tourmaline. Does anybody have any more questions?
Thank you, Juno. That was incredible. Let's see what. I think we've answered all the questions, but people have comments. Silver Star Priestess, I hope you're not typing and driving. Even sitting them in the dirt with plants, they work symbiotically to discharge. Yeah. It's really cool how they reset with plants, and the plants love it. You're absolutely right. That's a great way to do it. Mm-hmm. She says tourmaline's her favorite crystal. Leah says, thank you. T-Barb.
Thanks, guys. I'm nervous. I'm getting over my, I get tongue-tied, but we get the
down good. Pink tourmaline polished tip piece is 50.
Yeah, pink tourmaline is called rubellite, and blue tourmaline is indicolite. Brown tourmaline is dravite. I think green is elbeite. E-L-B-A-I.
My favorite is the watermelon. My sister's ring just fascinated me when I was a kid, and I would love to have one. It was just beautiful.
I've got a few. They're just tiny, though, tiny little slices, and I just think it's such a special stone, and it's one of my favorites across the board. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Silver Star Priestess. Very cool.
That's fantastic.
Well, you did a wonderful job. What's not to like?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I like the slides to get. I think it helps rather than just for me. It helps me get my
That's
point
why we use slides in our show. It just helps to demonstrate things.
Yeah.
I love them, and I thought your slides were beautiful.
And slides help you bring up more stuff that you forgot about.
Yeah, and it's hard, like the electrical stuff. That's kind of hard to explain just talking about it. But I find the pictures help me. Oh, thank you, Chris. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick. Okay, so we know that's a piece of black tourmaline. Well, here is an obsidian massage wand. So you can see how, an obsidian is a glass. It's not actually a crystal.
Yeah.
It cools to be a crystal, but just to show you, it's still black stone, but you could tell if you saw those two by each other, you would know. I'm just trying to give you guys some pointers when you're out looking like, what is this? She was talking about. Now this one looks very similar in a way, but see, it's kind of got that sheen to it. And you might think, oh, that's like one of those sheen obsidians. And it's not. This is Nummite. Nuummite, and it comes from, I think it's Greenland, and it's like the oldest crystal on Earth, I'm pretty sure. Or if it's not the oldest, it's right up there with the oldest.
That's
and
cool.
It's really heavy. It's a lot heavier than the tourmaline. Really dense. But see, just give you an idea. There's, 3 different black things. You'd think, well, how do you know what's what? But you kind of can tell.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Sure. I love that. I love Mr. Floyd's painting in a crystal shop. I think that's fantastic.
Oh, cool. At work, no less. I mean, come on, that's not work. Are you working?
Well, listen, you guys, I'm going to have to run. I asked Juno to let us off a little bit early. It's my granddaughter's birthday party tonight, and I have to meet him for dinner. So,
say happy birthday to him.
I certainly will. So I apologize for cutting it short, ladies and gentlemen. I do. And Juno, we love having you. And think about which crystal you're going to do next time, because that's going to be fun.
Yes, and
All right.
and it helps so much because there are so many crystals.
Yeah.
And
you
there's
go
so much
through one
story
at a time,
behind
Thank
it,
you,
you know.
Star.
We kind of hear we remember the certain surface buzzwords, you know, but I like bringing in the ancient history and how they used them. Like I'll never look at a meerschaum pipe again the
I
same
know,
way,
right?
you
Without
know?
thinking of black tourmaline.
Yeah.
And, can we do this like once a month or something?
Oh, twist
That would
my
really
arm. Twist my
different.
arm.
What do you guys in the chat think? How about this doing it once a month, a different crystal a month? I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And also I will be making a longer version of this into a video to post on my channel. I have citrine is on deck next, but
Oh, good.
That is good. I love citrine.
So thank you. So, you know, you guys will have that. And I do have I'm growing a library of crystal videos on my channel. So, and I'm on with Valerie on Tuesday
Fantastic.
afternoon.
And
So.
we're on Tuesday at the same time, our new time. And Heather's going to be remote viewing Lake Titicaca in Bolivia. Is it on the Bolivia and Peru? I believe it is.
And can I mention, did we talk about Liz's question that she left me earlier? I think we talked about it behind.
Yeah,
I just want to mention, just because I told her I'd answer it. She lives somewhere where she's has a lot of power lines, you know, things like that, and she wants to protect herself. And she said she has shungite and black tourmaline there, and wondered if she has enough to cover what she needs. And I like to empower people. If you don't have a pendulum, you can tie a nut, you know what I mean, like a Bolton nut on a piece of string. You can make a pendulum out of almost anything. And you're right there where you're living. Use your pendulum to get the answer, and then you'll know. Because I'm not here trying to sell a whole
great
Oh,
idea.
You know,
they'll tell you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll know. You'll get an
For
answer,
sure.
and then you'll know if you need more or not. So I hope that's helpful to Liz and anyone else with that kind of a question.
Oh,
And it
Millie,
may-
that's
it
really
may-
interesting. Did you see this, Heather? She
What?
says the natives think there's a portal there. It's in the lake, isn't it?
Yes,
Portal.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it used to be on ground, but it's under the lake now.
And you guys will be an hour before the Crone zone. Oh, fantastic.
Very
Okay.
cool. Yay.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's such an honor as always to be with you guys. And thanks to all the viewers and everybody. And a replay will be posted on my channel tomorrow. And if you got questions, you can always email me or put comments, please.
You guys, thank
and
you
I
so
did
much for
say-
being here.
And I wanted to add to your answer about doing it at her home. She needs to pick different areas in her home because there are different degrees of what she's wanting
Right.
to connect.
Understand.
So
Good point.
do it in different areas.
Oh, that's a good point.
Good point.
Absolutely. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will all see you again on Tuesday night. I certainly hope. Until then, thanks for being here. Please go like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. We'd really appreciate it. We can always use more members.
Oh, yes. We love all your comments. Please.
And we do love your comments, so keep them coming. And thank you again. We'll see you next time. Lots of
Bye,
love.
everybody.